I am here with my friend Angela Jackson, who is the managing director of Portland Seed Fund, and also my neighbor of 20-something years in Lad's Addition, where we're in Kiln, which is what is it?
It's like a co-work space.
Co-working space, yeah, just a few blocks from where we live. So we've known each other for a long time, but we had the great fortune to be the MCs in front of 700 people. And why don't you describe, because it was your idea, you're a huge Beastie Boys fan.
Yeah.
I don't think we made fools of ourselves, but we stood out.
We put ourselves out there.
We put ourselves out there. So
out there.
what did we perform in front of
gosh.
at Oregon Entrepreneurs Network's like big award show?
Big annual dinner. First of all, we brought the outfits, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We brought Chick Kill.
Yeah.
And the family.
Buchanan plaid, of course.
Buchanan plaid.
Yeah, which is not this, but it's another plaid. Yeah.
I decided I've always wanted to wear an evening gown with a baseball cap.
Mm-hmm. And I had a top hat, I think.
Yeah, I think you had a top hat. I had gloves. I had like elbow gloves and a long evening gown. And we rewrote the words to fight for your right to party.
It was, you got to fight for your right to profit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at the time, one of our Portland Seed Fund founders actually helped out a lot with those lyrics. And then I think you and I took them and massaged them a little bit. Yeah. And then we just killed it. Yeah. I have to say.
Killed it.
Yeah. But we rapped in front of that audience. Yeah. And I don't think they invited us back, did they?
No. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so you've been in this seed/venture capital world for 20 years. How did you get into it? Yeah. And you're one of very few women in Oregon. You and Diane Fraiman, and a few others. But I think a lot of folks in the business community have heard that. What is it? Some less than 3%, or it's very small amount of venture dollars go to women founders, and there's a very small percentage of venture partners who are women. So
no, I think that's right. So I think there's a problem on both sides of the check. I think if you want to solve the problem on the entrepreneur side of the check, you have to solve it on the investor side of the check. For me, that was never the thing I thought I wanted to be when I grew up or anything, but I did grow up, I was the daughter of a serial entrepreneur who was on his third company by the time I was born. I was a baby. And he brought a lot of the business challenges and the opportunities to the dinner table. And I wasn't paying too much attention, I thought, but I realized in retrospect how much I absorbed about the power of taking risk for reward at the dinner table. And it's not just financial, we grew up pretty much thinking we were poor, and then the business started to get more successful, and we could see, maybe we're not as poor as we thought. He eventually had a decent exit. But again, that was a long journey. Mm-hmm. But to hear and see those lessons along the way, not just the frustrations, but we would talk about the families of the people who worked for him, because we felt proud about creating great wealth generation opportunities for people. And this was in Minneapolis, so that's a very Minneapolis thing, right? Minnesota. You're not winning if everyone isn't winning with you. Yeah.
Good Midwestern values. I think Oregon has some of that too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think for me, the unlock, because I didn't want to go into the family business. It was circuit boards or microelectronics, early microelectronics. I had zero interest. Right. So I was doing my own thing, which I later learned I was an entrepreneur, but it took me to about 28 to put it together and realize, I think I got the gene from my dad, to see it and know it and have the confidence to pursue it. So I started to do some investing on my own, probably in my late 20s, I'd say. Oregon Angel Fund was new at the time. I joined Oregon Angel Fund as one of the first year, one of the investors. I learned a ton by participating in that, and I felt like that was where my natural ability and inclination met with just the tactical, how to read a term sheet,
due diligence
and all the stuff. So that's really how I got started, and then being a bit of an all-in personality. I don't know if I'm as all-in now, but at the time, back in 2007, I just started to do a bunch of deals, both through the fund and on my own. And then really got, I think quickly, quite a lot of experience and had the opportunity to start Portland Seed Fund a couple years after that.
Cool. And one of the things that you mentioned, you have a creative, you were going to be a dancer, and you realized, well, actually entrepreneurs have their own creative streak. It may not be in the arts, but there's a lot of creativity in it. So let's talk about some of, I read in the Business Journal that last year we had a kind of a banner year for overall venture capital dollars, but this year not so much. But give the audience a feel for maybe 3 or 4 examples of types of companies that you invest in, and even before that, what does seed fund mean versus like venture capital is often like several $1 million checks. So the philosophy and then some examples.
Sure. So it's a bit of a scale, right? There's angel small checks from individuals, then seed funding are smaller checks from funds, usually, or institutional, and then they go up and the checks get bigger. When you think about what is Oregon well suited for, we have a lot of angel and seed investing here. We don't have a lot of resident funds here. And because it's not, say, something like the Bay Area or New York market, even a couple different deals rolling into another quarter or another year can make it seem like there's a big swings, when in fact the picture on the ground may be quite different. So I saw that stat too, and I think I would just say for something like that, because what we're good at are, what we do more prolifically are lots more of those smaller checks. They don't add up to as much, so in a big data dump like that, absence of a big round.
But before we shot this video, you were giving me the analogy of Texas Hold'em and the ante that you put in.
So Portland Seed Fund, and I should say we launched a sister fund called the Intrepid Oregon Fund that we're also investing out of now. That's more deep technology focused, and by that I just mean there's a stronger science or research or deeper tech back to it, and there's reasons for that, which I won't go into unless you want to later, but we take our chip stack, it's like Texas Hold'em, right? Anyone who's played Texas Hold'em, the first thing you do is you go around and you have to ante in the round. Well, we sort of view our first investment as a bit of that ante in the round, because once we're at the table, we can see, we get to know the founders better, we understand their company, their problem they're trying to solve, and earn our right to be influential, if that's a fit. Once we do that, we may write much bigger checks. So we do a lot of follow-on investing. So while our first check may be $100,000, many companies we've gotten to say $500,000 over multiple investments. And that's with more knowledge as they raise more capital. We like to keep what's called our pro rata, or our position, as the round advances. So we'll keep putting money in, often to companies. And so being an early stage seed investor, we're taking a lot more risk than those later stage funds. So our way to overcome that risk is to do more deals, because statistically, our whole game is about high risk. It's a naturally high risk environment for possibly higher reward than if we were playing the other game.
And you're stoked if you have 3 out of 10, get a home run.
Well, I would say so my history with Portland Seed Fund, we've had one, I'll tell you the company, Auth0. If you do any sort of airline, you see the Auth0, and anytime you get the 6 digits. So that was acquired by Okta, which is another big is the big authentication company, for a lot of money. Our investors got 84, 85 times their money back on that one deal. Now there's a reason I'm telling you about that one, because that doesn't happen every day.
Exactly.
So something like an 8400x, 60x, they're probably a 1 in 100. So when we portfolio construct, we're looking at doing, in a fund, maybe 36 or 40 deals. We're expecting, you know, 10 of those to be 5x or above. And ideally, like a big 100x or something.
And give some specific examples of some ones that we haven't heard of yet, but are going to, and some that we know well in Portland. Right.
So I would say the two that are probably in our portfolio poised for a large exit. The markets have been very tough. They might have been acquired by now, but they're strong companies with plenty of interest in suitors, but the conditions have to be just right for an exit. But Custom.io is Colin Netticorn, great founder, has led that company. Wonderful
digital marketing platform.
And then Hydrolix, which is deeper tech, more of a data lake. That's Marty Kagan. Fast growing, seasoned entrepreneur, another just great opportunity. So I think those are two that people may hear about. What's tough about tech companies, a lot of this is ingredient brand to the enterprise.
Sure,
so
very B2B.
Walking around Main Street, you're like, oh, I don't get it. So let me name a Main Street company people may be familiar with that we're really proud of, that we were an early investor in, and that's WILDFANG, the brand, store on 10th, like in the West End on Southwest 10th downtown, but really a brisk online business, and recently doing really interesting celebrity collabs with like Debbie Harry of Blondie, and
Emma, the founder.
Emma is an iconic
force of
nature. She, in fact, just several months ago, we decided to get all our female founders together, and I know we want to talk about it can look different for women on both sides of the check. Recognizing that, we decided to get a bunch of our female CEOs and founders together. We did that in November in this room, actually.
Oh, wow, okay.
Emma flew up from LA. She secretly gifted a WILDFANG jumpsuit to each of our female founders, branded with Portland Seed Fund.
Oh, nice.
And we went from tears to giggling to eating to dancing and karaoke afterwards. And it was just an amazing and special day. Why did people come and why did they matter? Because they feel lonely as an entrepreneur. And, you know, do they come for an answer to a particular problem? Maybe. Whether they come from most by polling connection. They don't want to feel lonely doing this. So I think all entrepreneurs feel like they're alone at times.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the women can feel very alone too. So that was just, the giggle was for me. That's the win, is the giggle.
We are getting close on time here, so I almost want to mic drop on the giggle and how much we need connection, community,
absolutely.
and laughter. And yeah, I think what you're doing in Portland is often not seen because it's the companies that are out front, the WILDFANGs that are known. But it's so important. Like, if you don't get that Annie chip up front as a founder, like, you just can't start your dream. And so I want to thank you for all that you're doing.
Well, thank you. Back at you. You're everywhere, making a huge difference. And I'm glad I can say I knew you win.
Oh, please. Yeah. Thanks, Angela. Cheers.